It's almost kind of ridiculous, the build-up the people from Foodcloud have gotten today. It seems like the entire day has been just a precursor to this moment. So, Iseult Ward, no pressure now whatsoever, but please come down, tell us about Foodcloud and tell us about what you have learned here today that can be applied elsewhere.
Hi, so I'm Iseult Ward, one of the co-founders of Foodcloud. I'm going to go through a presentation about what we do and why we do it, and some of which you may have already heard today, but hopefully you'll enjoy it anyway. As you've heard, over 30% of food produced is lost or wasted across the global food system. That's 1.3 billion tonnes of food annually. We actually use farmland the size of Kazakhstan, Mongolia and China combined to grow food that is never eaten. And we use enough water growing these crops to satisfy the world's household water needs. All of this food is going to waste, whilst 805 million people across the world are suffering from food poverty. Even in Ireland, we waste 1 million tonnes of food annually, whilst 1 in 10 people are suffering from food poverty. Wasting food is a waste of money, a waste of natural resources, but raises serious moral questions when you consider that there are people across the world that don't have enough to eat. Our solution is to match businesses that have too much food with charities that have too little, through the use of a smartphone app. Our mission is to create innovative solutions for surplus food that empower people, bring communities together, and create lasting positive social change. I'm going to explain how it works through a short story about Alan and Liz. So this is Alan. He is the store manager at Tesco on College Green. And it costs his store up to €3,000 a year to dispose of perfectly good food. And then there's Liz. She is the manager of the Liberties After School Club, a charity right around the corner that struggles daily to provide food for those in need. So Foodcloud allows Alan to quickly upload details of his surplus food and notify charities like Liz in his community. Liz simply receives a text message telling about the food that's on offer and then texts back to accept the donation. Since signing up to Foodcloud, Alan has saved money, but also contributed to his community in a meaningful and practical way. Foodcloud brings people like Alan and Liz together within communities so that they can work together to solve the problems of food waste and food poverty. Foodcloud works with a range of charities, from small organisations that have 4 to 6 people living in it for children that are in between foster care, to community centres, to youth clubs, homeless shelters. And really, receiving donated food helps these organisations focus on their core missions by redirecting precious resources towards helping those who are disadvantaged or at risk in their communities. Some of the organisations we work with are now saving on up to 20 to 30% on their food bill. A lot of our youth clubs have started serving smoothies in their breakfast clubs using fruit that was donated the night before. And often fruit has now become a luxury item for a lot of charities whose funding has been dramatically cut over the last few years. And some of our community centres are now able to reach out to families within their community and offer them food donations where they did not have the resources to do so before. For businesses, this helps them connect to charities within their local community. And feedback from a lot of the staff on the ground has been that they've been seeing this food being thrown out for years with no solution, and that they are finally delighted to be able to contribute in this way to their local community and stop this food going into the bin. So how did this come about? Myself and Eva O'Brien, the other co-founder of Foodcloud, met each other when we were both studying in Trinity in February 2012. It was really the realisation that within communities across Ireland, there were people like Alan and people like Liz, every day throwing away food and every day struggling to raise funding to buy food for those in need. At the time, there was only one small food bank in Dublin city centre. So we really saw an opportunity to do something about this. In June 2012, we facilitated our first donation. We literally started out by calling farmers markets and local charities, wondering if anybody would be interested in matching this surplus with scarcity. In June, we facilitated our first donation from the Honest to Goodness Market in Glasnevin to a local charity, Don Bosco. And still today, every Wednesday and Saturday, the charity Don Bosco go along to the farmers market and pick up any surplus food that's left at the end of the day. And sometimes the food is unbelievably nice, and really good quality. We quickly realised, though, that to make our solution scalable and sustainable, that we needed to turn to technology. So with a lot of research and a lot of support, we eventually developed the app. And then in October 2013, we launched with the app and one Tesco supermarket on Talbot Street, and also a few small cafes and bakeries. We did this trial with Tesco over the course of 6 months with 18 of their stores, from the very small stores to the very large. And then on July 1st, we announced a national partnership with Tesco that would see their surplus food from their 147 stores across Ireland redistributed to local charities. We are now in 24 counties across Ireland, and we've facilitated the redistribution of 190 tonnes of food. That is the equivalent of over 400,000 meals to our network of over 250 charities across Ireland. But what really excites us about Foodcloud is that the app is also working as a tool to identify opportunities for surplus food that we hadn't realised before. We are creating a market for surplus food. On the supply side, we are working with Tesco, the world's third largest retailer, who have told us that this is the first solution, retail level solution, that they have had for their surplus food. But we've also been approached by a range of businesses across the food supply chain, from large manufacturers and distributors to small farmers that have surplus apples in their orchards. All of these people are looking for a solution for their surplus food that feed people and not landfills. On the demand side, using Tesco's geographical footprint, we are creating new and strengthening existing networks of charities that can use this new supply of surplus food. Using surplus food can be challenging, from logistics, transport, even using the actual random nature of the food can be difficult. We want to support and empower our network of charities so that they can really maximise the potential of this new supply of surplus food. We have looked to international best practice and identified best practices in different countries. For example, in the US, where there are a lot of organisations with innovative solutions for surplus food across the food supply chain. These countries also have favourable policies and legislation to support businesses and charities that are working to redistribute surplus food. And unfortunately, this isn't the case in Ireland. We have been working with organisations like the Food Safety Authority and the Environmental Protection Agency to help develop more favourable policy and legislation around surplus food redistribution. And the Food Safety Authority have been working with us to publish guidelines for our charity partners to help them understand the food safety legislation around using surplus food. And then, of course, Tesco, Ireland's largest retailer, has now committed to donating surplus food from all all of their stores across the country and have also created their first food donation policy, which is really setting a precedent for all others. We have also very recently launched a new food rescue project where we found that in urban settings, so particularly in Dublin, a lot of the charities wouldn't have as easy access to transport to pick up the food. This project, we've gotten an ESB-sponsored electric car, and we have volunteers going out in the evening, collecting from businesses that have surplus food and dropping to charities that have a need for the food but wouldn't otherwise be able to get it. This has been done, or this is being done in New York and in many cities across Australia and Chicago, and it's really great to see all these other cities doing it, but I think it really shows that the project has huge potential in Dublin. And this is a sample route that a driver and a navigator would take on an evening, stopping off at 2 Tesco store and then dropping off to a charity in Dublin city centre. And then, of course, if there's anybody in the audience that would like to volunteer, we are always looking for new volunteers. You can email info@Foodcloud. You need to be over 25 with a clean driver's license to drive, and a navigator, you just have to be good company and have good direction skills. So, we believe that Ireland is a greenfield site for surplus food redistribution. With such a rich heritage in food and agriculture, it makes sense as a nation that we commit to reducing food waste. We have started to create a market for surplus food where none existed before, and we see huge potential for this in Ireland. Imagine a world where no food goes to waste. That is the world that we want to live in. Thank you.